Welcome in. This is the early wedge, and this is your Friday night halftime report. I'm Rick Gehman. That right there is Jason Sobel. Jason, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Rick. What's going on, dude?
Not much. We've got a leaderboard brewing. We've got a golf course that's fighting back. I can get into this for the next couple of days.
Just wait. So first of all, I was out at Bay Hill for about 3 or 4 hours today, just hanging out. I just did the post-game show on PGA Tour Radio. Tomorrow is going to be, I said it was the best golf weather ever. Like maybe there's been just as good golf weather, but this was T1. And tomorrow's going to be T1 again. We're going to have another tie. Sunday, I'm looking at my weather app. I'm 10 minutes away. Gusts of up to 36 miles an hour on a fast, firm golf course. Just get me to Sunday. I'm ready. I can't wait.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have a lot of thoughts and comments about that, but I've got to get this off my chest because it is finally ready. We have been alluding to this. We've been circling this for quite some time, but I am happy to announce that our early wedge one and done contest is now live. The link is in the description, so go there first before you ask any questions. But here's how it works. It is free to play. It is set up on Splash Sports, and they have added $5,000 to the purse. So that's $0 to get in, a chance to win your share of $5,000. Plus, we are going to be tracking all of the leaders from that contest, as well as our picks right here on the show. So, Jason, this is something that has finally come together. We've got it locked and loaded, and it's going to kick off at the Players' Championship next week.
It's a free roll. Costs nothing to get in, and you can win money. I don't know. I'm in. Sounds great. I'd like to add one more rule to this if we can, Rick.
Sure.
When you beat me, it's not an if, but when you, and I'm not saying you, Rick, because I know you're going to beat me, but all the people out there, when you beat me in the one and done, you are not allowed to go to social media and troll me and say that I suck and say that you should have my job. We know all these things already. Don't waste your time.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, let's put that into effect. We'll see how that goes. Josh, throw those back up. Those are the payouts that are currently locked and loaded on Splash. So the winner is going to get $1,000. They're going to turn $0 into $1,000. That is an infinity ROI, infinity percent. You have made it happen. And then what we did is we made sure the payouts were pretty friendly. So really the bottom 35 spots, we wanted everybody to have a chance at this. Everybody to get their beaks wet a little bit, are all going to pay out $100. As of right now, there's only 311 people in. Now there's still a week to go, but I would not waste any time. I would get in this thing as quick as possible. And Jason, the last thing I'll point out with this is it's a good time to start the Players' Championship because that is going to be the biggest purse of the year. You can just start your season off with $4.5 million.
Might want to pick a winner next week. When does it go through? When's the last week of the season?
Oh, great question. I'm assuming it is going to be the BMW, but I can confirm that. Yes, it is correct. It does not include the Tour Championship.
That's good because I can't confirm this, but I stood next to, I don't want to give it up, a certain number one player in the world who was talking to some PGA Tour relations type guys, and they were talking about the status and format of the Tour Championship, and things might be announced at some point in the very near future that aren't what they are right now.
Okay. Well, I can narrow that down to exactly who that player was. And also I could assume that when Jay Monahan sits in front of a microphone next week at the Players, we might get some more information. So say no more, Jason. I think
not subtle enough. No.
I have cracked the code indeed. Well, let's see who's cracking the code at Bay Hill. A tale of 2 days a little bit. On Thursday, it was super gusty winds, especially in the morning. They did calm down over the course of Thursday afternoon. So the guys that played on Thursday afternoon definitely got better conditions. You've already told us that this was a T1 day of golf here. The stats show is about a 2.5 shot difference between Thursday and Friday, but it is still a golf course where bogeys are easy to make. Doubles are easy to make. Guys are fighting out there.
Yeah, scoring average 74.62 on Thursday. That was big. That was, I think, the 5th highest round one scoring average that we've had in the statistical era. Today, just a notch under par, 71.96. But look, easier doesn't mean easy. It's still very fast, very firm. They actually made the green speeds a little faster for today, knowing that the wind wasn't going to blow. They're going to do the same thing for tomorrow. So we're playing a very, very difficult golf course. And like I said, if you think it's hard now, and Wyndham Clark said after his round today, and he's in second place, he's playing well, said it was borderline today. They're doing that USGA thing. They're doing that like, hey, I'm gonna get in there before they start, really getting out of hand. I'm telling you, Wyndham, if you're watching right now, I'm sure you are. Just wait 2 more days. It's going to get nasty out there. And like I said, for those of us sadists out there who can't wait to watch these guys just slip and slide at every turn, it's going to be really, really fun to watch on Sunday.
That's a preemptive nag to get that out there just before it is time to actually nag. Well, we've got a lot to get to. Let's start with Keegan Bradley here, who opened up with a 69 on Thursday and followed it up with a 72 in round number 2. He is currently 3 under par. He's in a tie for 8th. And Jason, when I look at the stat profile, it is fairly well rounded. He is playing for a spot on his own Ryder Cup team, and he is really thriving a bit on some of these holes, that especially that asks for that right to left shot that he's been so dialed in on this week. Keegan is going to enter the weekend inside the top 10.
Yeah, probably not real happy right now. A double and 2 bogeys in his last 6 holes of the day on Friday afternoon, but playing some good golf right now, well-rounded. Anytime we go to a golf course where long and straight is more of an advantage, look, every golf course in the world, you hit it long and straight, you're going to be in decent shape. But I think it's an even bigger advantage to drive it in the fairway and drive it a long way at Bay Hill Club and Lodge. And that's Keegan Bradley's game. So he's doing that well. The putter's been good. We've talked about Keegan over the years. Sometimes the putter's pretty good. Sometimes the putter's really, really bad. This seems like one of those good weeks so far. It got a little loose late. He kind of lost his speeds on the green late, led to some of those bigger numbers down the stretch. But if he can reel that in on the weekend, sure, definitely has a chance.
I'm going to hit a couple of notables here in a second, but I want to point out some of the better rounds that we've had thus far. I see Corey Connors sitting in a tie for 30. He's 5 under par, rounds of 69 and 70. So steady Eddie for Corey Connors. No surprise that he is top 10 in this field in strokes gained approach. The thing that stands out to me, Jason, is that he is currently 10th. He's picked up 2.5 strokes with the putter this week. He is continuing his great play at Bay Hill in his career.
So I believe this is a question that everybody in the betting industry would like to answer. Is Corey Connors plus putting sustainable for 2 more rounds? I'm going to vote against that. I don't know that it is. That said, Rick, I said at the beginning of last year that I'm waiting for Corey Connors to win something bigger than a Valero Texas Open. I think he's certainly got the talents. He's one of the better ball strikers in the entire world. And I think that at some point it's going to happen. I just don't know that it's going to happen here on really slick greens in these conditions. But I do think that it might not be a major championship, but some sort of signature event, FedEx Cup playoff event. I think it's coming for Corey Connors. I just don't know where or when. Maybe this week.
3 shots off the lead right now, though. We'll talk about in a second. We saw that lead shrink quickly at times on Friday. Let me get you an update on a couple of the big boppers. I'll start here with Scottie Scheffler. Rounds of 71-70. Hasn't cracked the 70 mark yet. This second round here was very interesting, Jason, because he birdies 1 and then he doubles number 2. Some putting woes are certainly back in the bag for Scottie Scheffler this week. He turned in 39. That is 3 over before he salvaged all of those birdies on 12, 16, and 18 to get this thing back to even par. Clearly hasn't had his best stuff this week. How would you assess the play from Scottie Scheffler?
So I was standing just off the green on number 2. He hit it short and left on that just brutal par 3. I mean, this thing, even if you hit a great shot, it's so hard to hold that green. Ludwig Oberg, as if to only rub it in, his playing partner, did it as well as anybody today and just barely missed his birdie putt. But Scottie hit an okay chip that rolled out past the hole. He had about, I don't know, maybe 12 feet coming back, and I'm standing next to a PGA Tour official who looks at me and goes, make or miss, and I go, that putt is so unbelievably fast on regular days. Like you show up to Bay Hill on October 17th, and that's a really fast putt for tournament week. It's so slick, and he didn't hit it very hard, and it still went 4 feet past the hole, and he missed the comeback or lipped that one out and made a double bogey. And you could tell the frustration on Scottie Scheffler's face throughout the day. And Rick, I think it's fair to ask, what Scottie Scheffler's expectations are of himself. He won 9 times last year, 7 official, 2 unofficial, including the gold medal. But I get that Scottie is the best player in the world. I get that Scottie sets a bar for himself very, very high and believes he can and maybe should win every single time he tees it up. That, of course, isn't logical. And I just wonder, coming off a 9-win season, and maybe Scottie at some point could have a little sit down with Tiger on how you bounce back's probably not the right terminology, but how you return after a season where you played the best golf of your life and how you try to do it again. I don't know. You're chasing ghosts at some point, and I'm very interested to see what Scottie does this weekend and what Scottie does for the rest of the year. He's not going to go winless all year. We know he's going to win. We know he's going to play really good golf, but is he going to play the kind of Scottie Scheffler 2024 golf that we saw last year? It's a fair question to ask.
He tried to do that thing where I think he tried to convince himself. He said, oh, it's a new year. Don't judge me on 2024. I'm not going to compare myself to that, yada, yada, yada. Well, listen, I still think that he's got that frustration. Like you said, he sets that bar very high. Another golfer who sets the bar very high is Rory McIlroy. Rounds of 70 in each of his first 2 loops around Bay Hill this week. And it was an incredibly interesting Friday. Jason, I want to get the actual number here. So number 2 was playing 233 yards today. That's the par 3 that you were referencing just a bit earlier. He hit his tee shot on that hole this morning, 194 yards, just about 40 yards short. I think he hit the big ball, the earth, before he hit his own golf ball there. We saw a lot of loose shots from Rory early. He did make 3 birdies on the back before bogeying 18, but that's a very difficult hole. He had to chip out of the right rough. Another guy who has not had it this week, the approach play, the second shots, a lot of just really awkward situations. He said a couple of times to Harry Diamond, the PGA Tour Live mics picked up. He's like, I'm uncomfortable over this one. Just can't get comfy around Bay Hill right now.
That shot on 3, my guy Robert Dameron on the call for PGA Tour Live said it was the worst shot he's ever seen Rory McIlroy hit. He's hit some bad shots. I know he's a great player. He's hit some bad shots. So for Robert to say that, that really means something. There's some things I really don't like about what Rory's done over the first 2 days. Slow starts, that shot included, and he's kind of sputtered his way into these couple of rounds, and bad finishes. You got to close things out. Look, you're up there on the leaderboard. You bogey 18 both days. That's a bad bogey. I know it's a tough hole, but guys are out there making some birdies, certainly able to make pars. Shane Lowry, his playing partner, birdied the 18th today, and a little 2-shot swing there between the two of them. Rory's got to do better on the 18th hole. What I do like, and we've seen this from Rory over the years, if Rory is going to win, if Rory is going to dominate, he's got to play the par 5s really well. He's got to take advantage of his length on those holes. 6 under on the par 5s through 2 rounds. That part is really good.
The thing that I keep staring at is that Rory McIlroy has played 36 holes. He has made 18 pars. That means he's had 18 other things besides pars, and he is 4 under. So you start trying to figure out the math of how that all works to get to that score. There's a lot more brewing here. Didn't mention Wyndham Clark yet. Didn't mention Shane Lowry or Justin Thomas or Colin Morikawa. Like a lot of stuff still brewing here. We've got that, the odds, some round 3 matchups, much more coming. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear from our partners.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final 4.
And we're back. Jason, before we get to the top of the board, I'm going to invert it here for just a second to give you the notables who missed the cut. Again, this is a top 50 and ties plus anybody within 10 strokes, but with the leader currently at 8 under par, that portion of the cut guidelines did not come into play. The notables on the outside looking in after a 4 over par cut. Viktor Hovland was 5 over. Harris English, who has won already this year, was 6 over. Minwoo Lee and Max Homa, both 7 over. Taylor Pendrith, Akshay Bhatia, both 8 over. Billy Horschel, Cameron Young, both 9 over. Tom Kim, 10 over par. All of those guys and a handful more will be making the early trip to TPC Sawgrass.
One note on that, I was out at 17 on Wednesday morning and early afternoon interviewing players as they went by. One player I did not interview was Viktor Hovland because he hit 2 balls in the water during the Pro-Am. And I'm not sure in 20 years of covering the PGA Tour and walking around and talking to players at a whole lot of Pro-Ams, I'm not sure I've ever seen a player as mad at himself, as frustrated, as lost as Viktor Hovland was on Wednesday. I did my show from the range for 3 hours, and he was out there the entire 3 hours and more working on his game, trying to figure things out. I am staying far away from Viktor Hovland in the betting markets for a very long time until he shows us that his head is in the game and that his game is back.
He's fighting it right now. Thursday was one of the worst putting rounds of his career. This week in general, he lost 6 strokes with the putter. The possible bright light, I'll try to shine something on it. Birdied 4 of his last 6. It's 4 of his last 7, including the 18th. For a moment, looked like he could make the cut, but those hopes were dashed by Max McGreevy and Lucas Glover coming in. Let's go to the top of the board. Wyndham Clark shot a 67, an unbelievable 67 on Thursday. Shot a 71 here on Friday. How difficult was Bay Hill? Well, he made a double bogey on 15, Jason, by rolling in a 21-footer, and he gave us a fist pump. I mean, he was stoked to avoid a triple there and salvage that hole. He's 2 shots back going into the weekend.
Look, I like Wyndham Clark. It's a game built for Bay Hill. He tends to putt really well on Bermuda greens. He was second, of course, at this event and at the Players' Championship last year. I think he's in a really good spot moving forward. I'm not sure about that ruling on 3. PGA Tour is going to back him on that. I'm not sure how from 300 yards away you can tell that your ball landed in your own pitch mark and you're confident of that, but they gave him the benefit of the doubt on that one, and he moves on and doesn't get a penalty. But that's
yeah. So for those who didn't see it, Wyndham Clark hits a tee shot that lands in the fairway. We're watching on a PGA Tour Live. It bounces, it rolls, not far, but it rolls a little bit. Gets up there. His ball is clearly in a pitch mark. Hard to believe it would be his because we saw the ball bounce, and we know kind of how physics works. So from Wyndham's standpoint, Jason, by the time he gets up there, I guess he doesn't really have any idea whether that's his ball. He doesn't have any reason to think his ball would have gone in someone else's pitch mark. So he marks it, embedded ball, drops it, and goes about his business. Well, we saw it on PGA Tour Live. We know it bounced. So right there, let me pause before I get to the actual clarification of the ruling. If you play out of somebody else's pitch mark, you can't do that. That's a penalty. But Wyndham wouldn't have known that from 300 and some odd yards away.
Correct. And look, does this happen on all levels of professional golf on a regular basis? Yeah, of course, because players can't see it from 300 yards away. We're watching every little bit of this. I mean, even a few years ago, we wouldn't have seen this ourselves, except now there's PGA Tour Live, there's cameras everywhere. And so early in the morning, we're watching Wyndham Clark hit a drive on the 3rd hole at Bay Hill, and we see what happens. I think there might have been probably more discussion than there was. There probably should have been more discussion. That said, I hate to see a player penalized just because he's playing well and he's on camera and they're showing it. I don't like the fact that there's not equality. And I've said this for a long time. If we're going to look at every little piece of tape that's out there, you better have a camera on every shot on the golf course. We better be watching everybody. If we're going to look at Wyndham Clark on number 3, we better look at Andrew Novak on number 6. Not that he did anything, but we better look at Ben Griffin on number 9. I'm making things up, but we better watch every single shot and see that nobody else did something to quote unquote get away with something. Not that they're trying to, but I hate to see a guy penalized just because his was on TV and nobody else's was.
Yeah, it's a gift and a curse to have all your shots there. The real problem for me is the statement that was released from PGA Tour Rules Committee. It just says, after reviewing ShotLink video of Wyndham Clark's tee shot on the 3rd hole during the 2nd round, the PGA Tour Rules Committee determined that the ball returns to its own pitch mark, which entitled Clark to free relief. I assume there are other camera angles that we cannot see. We've heard this before because there was a ShotLink camera that was used to see that somebody picked up Phil Mickelson's ball and ran away with it, right? Like that has been used before that we do not have access to. However, there is no way that ball went into its own pitch mark.
I don't think so. I'm trying to give Wyndham the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's trying to cheat. And again, intent, I think, plays a big part of the rules. And, I don't know. And people say, well, people want to move him from divots, which I've never been a fan of. But if we're gonna move stuff from divots, we'll do what we do at my club every day, which is just roll them in the fairways. You might as well just roll everything, because I don't know what's a divot and what's not. And if your ball's sitting on a little piece of grass that you don't like and there's something under there and you call over a rules official, we're going to be playing 11-hour rounds on the PGA Tour. So I don't know. No great answers for any of this.
I roll everything. So go ahead and roll that darn thing over. They're all going to be chasing down Shane Lowry, rounds of 69, 67. And this 5 under 67 on Friday was nearly blemish free. He had 3 birdies on the front, another 3 on the back. The only square comes on the par 5 16th, and
16.
I know it's pretty incredible for that to be the only bogey on the card, because Shane Lowry has been awesome this week.
He really has, and I'm a little surprised by it. I liked Shane Lowry coming into the week, and then I talked to Shane Lowry. Saw him by the putting green on Tuesday. I interviewed him on Wednesday. In fact, I mentioned I was standing by 17 and interviewing players during the Pro-Am, and after Shane hit his tee shot there, I said, "Hey, Shane, you got a minute?" And he looked at me, he goes, yeah, I'll do it. And we know each other. He comes over laughing, but I could tell I knew how tired he was. And he told me over the last week and a half, it's maybe been the busiest week and a half of his career. He played in the Jake last Monday, Jack Nicklaus's tournament at the Bears Club, where Shane's also a member. You can't skip that one. He had a Srixon ad shoot the next day. Then, of course, he played at PGA National. He played very well, finishing in a share of 11th place. He's played 2 TGL matches, the Seminole Pro member. He decided, I need a day off. I'm going to take Tuesday off. I'm not going to Bay Hill, except he broke his driver, and so he had to go out and test drivers on Tuesday. He was actually asked after the round today, so looks like you're feeling comfortable with that club now. Shane said, no, not at all. No, doesn't feel good. So I am not completely confident in Shane Lowry right now, for the sole reason that I don't think Shane Lowry is completely confident in Shane Lowry right now.
Oh, okay. That is interesting. And yes, that is a lot of golf. We're all very jealous, but if you're doing that for a living, I guess you could be tired there. Let's lump it. We can lump in some of these other conversations here by assessing the big board. So Shane Lowry, who is in at 8 under par, 2 shots up on the rest of the field. He is the betting favorite, thanks to our friends in Las Vegas. He is plus 280. Wyndham Clark, who is 2 shots back, is not the one with the second shortest odds, but he's at 7.5 to 1. Corey Connors and Colin Morikawa are at 5 under par. They are 14 to 1 and 6 to 1 respectively. And then as you go down the board, Russell Henley, Rory McIlroy, and Jason Day, shout out Jason Day, 64 on Friday, are 16, 4.5, and 22 to 1. And then, of course, we can go deeper. We can find Scottie Scheffler. We can lurk down to Justin Thomas. But when you start looking at these outright odds, Jason, is there something or some things that stand out to you?
Well, I really like a guy you just glossed over, and I mentioned the weather. It's going to be perfect on Saturday, but Sunday the wind is coming in. Who flights their ball on the PGA Tour as well as anybody? I'm not talking about Scottie. I'm talking about Justin Thomas. And Justin has been building up to something big. He was 4 over through his first 4 holes on Thursday morning, and I'm thinking, well, so much for JT this week. I wish I had jumped on him then. Why would you? Because it looked like he was going to shoot. Well, he was on pace to shoot 36 over for 36 holes with those 2 doubles. He's gone 7 under in his last 32 holes. He's obviously feeling it a little bit now. He goes 71, 70. JT in the wind. And like I said, I know I feel like Paul Revere riding the horse through town, trying to warn the townspeople, the Redcoats are going to. The winds are coming. It's going to be really, really difficult conditions on Sunday. He's only 5 shots back. That doesn't mean that much to me going into the weekend. There's plenty of shifting that's going to occur on this leaderboard. I'll take a guy at a big number. JT at 18 to 1 going into the weekend. I like big numbers. I'll take him there. I like
JT is leading the field in strokes gained ball striking this week. He has yet to gain strokes on the putting surface in either round. He's actually losing nearly 2 shots there. So you can see a scenario in which he ball strikes his way to keep himself in this thing, maybe makes a couple of bonus putts on Saturday or Sunday, and he's definitely in the mix. I'm glad you mentioned, I mean, he's 5 back of the lead. He's 3 back of second. There was like a 3-minute period on Friday where like Wyndham Clark was making double. Shane Lowry made a bogey. We watched Scottie Scheffler miss a 2-foot 11-inch putt. We saw Rory McIlroy miss a short one. It's just like this thing can contract very, very quickly. Can it not?
Absolutely. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen very, very quickly tomorrow. Shane Lowry, Wyndham Clark, go bogey birdie in the first, all of a sudden we're tied and we're off to the races on this thing. By the way, I just want to get in there because I'm looking at the stats right now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Always good counting on a podcast, but we talk about ball striking being so important at Bay Hill. The top 9 strokes gained tee to green. You mentioned JT right there. The top 9 in that category are all inside the top 12 on the leaderboard right now. So, putting always means something. You got to make some putts, but this is a ball striker's golf course, and whoever hits it best has a great chance to win this thing.
Yeah, they are separating themselves. Well, the guy who is just barely edging out Justin Thomas in tee to green play, so we're adding in the around the green play over the ball striking, is Collin Morikawa. And I think one of the narratives, Jason, is that he cannot play well in the wind. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if if there's enough evidence, but that's always what I hear. He's in a tie for third. We're talking about a 2-time major champion, 3 shots off the pace.
I am not worried about his ball striking in the wind. I'm worried about 2 things. First is the fact that he was going to be right near the top of my list for the Players' Championship next week. And I hate it, Rick, when a guy goes out there and peaks a week too early. Like, I've got him. I've written his name down. I got an index card over here with Collin Morikawa at the top of it because I had him targeted for a while for the Players' Championship. Secondly, it's not the ball striking in the wind. It's the putting. I don't know if you saw that putt on 18. I'm guessing about 3.5 feet. Never even sniffed the hole. I mean, he might have had a longer putt coming back from the side of it. It looked like it was going right, and he pushed it, and it was never even close. With windy conditions, again, and slick greens, if Collin Morikawa is back to missing shorties like that, you can't win if you're missing those putts. And I know that at least it was for birdie, and he made his par there. There are bigger blemishes out there and bigger mistakes that guys are making, but dinner's going to taste a little worse for Collin Morikawa tonight because that was an unforgivable sin there. You've got to make the birdie when you give yourself a chance like that. The ball striking's been great. The putter has to be better.
You are right. The par putt was longer than the birdie putt, so right. Never a good sign to be going in that direction. Let me focus your attention on 2 big boppers here at 1 under par, which again, for those just listening, 7 shots off the lead, 5 shots off of first. I'm talking about Ludwig Åberg. I'm talking about Scottie Scheffler. They have each shot a 71 and a 72 this week. Ludwig gave back 3 strokes late on Friday by making 3 consecutive bogeys on 14, 15, and 16. He is 35-1. Scottie Scheffler is 11-1. Are they too far back? Are there too many big names between them and the top of the board? What are we assessing from these 2 here?
Look, they're not too far back. If I'm picking one over the other, I'm taking Scottie. Look, you get Scottie at 11-1. The guy started the week at somewhere in the 3-1 range, maybe even shorter than that. And so I know he hasn't played his best golf, but I kind of like that. He's still Scottie Scheffler. Scottie Scheffler hasn't played his best golf. He's only 7 shots back, hasn't shot an over par round yet. And, he's got a chance to improve the putter. He was 5th in strokes gained putting while winning this event last year. He's 10th from the bottom, 62nd right now through 2 rounds. If the putter heats up just a little bit, ball striking is going to be good. I can see a 65, 66 out of Scottie tomorrow, and he's right there in the mix. And we talk about guys who are good win players. Scottie's a good everything player, but yes, he is a good win player. And Ludwig, look, nothing against Ludwig. He just won 3 weeks ago. I had him that week. I am waiting another 5 weeks. I can't say this enough on the early wedge. Waiting another 5 weeks, and yes, I retain the right to change my mind here, Rick, but I will be playing Ludwig 5 weeks from now. If you want to look at the schedule and count down and see.
Yeah, I can figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not very good. Your hints are very good. Like you're great at this game. I'm like,
it's a Friday night. I don't want to make the people work too hard.
I'm batting 1,000 on the hints that you're giving out here. Well, I'll tell you what, they've played together the first 2 days. They're going to play together again on Saturday. Scottie Scheffler is minus 205 to Ludwig Oberg's plus 170 on that matchup. I did this the other week and it made me want to rip my hair out. I hate betting against Scottie Scheffler, but I'll tell you what, Ludwig at plus 170 against about anybody in the world is like scary stuff.
Scottie's shooting 65 or 66 tomorrow.
Oh God. Okay. Well, then I will avoid that one. We do have, so this is fun. We waited a little bit longer this week and we have those third round matchups out. There are, I mean, everything's out right now, right? We've got end of round 3 leaders. We've got odds for updated finishing positions. Is there any place you want to go here? You want me to throw you a couple matchups? If you saw anything, like where do you want to go here?
I've got 3 matchups.
Okay.
If you don't mind me throwing these out
Please.
there. And the first one, I'm going to fade the guy who had the round of the day. I love that Jason Day is working with Colin Swatton again. If we're going to give credit, though, to Colin Swatton for Jason Day shooting 8 under 64, his best round in 41 at Bay Hill, well, we got to give him some blame for shooting 76 the day before. So I think there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period for Jason. I love the fact that they're working together, but I'm going to fade him tomorrow. Max Gracerman's a good player, man. He shows up day in, day out. He's a guy that grinds. I get Gracerman at minus 105 against Jason Day. I like that number right now. I usually like to look at matchups that are further down the board, guys where I can like find a little edge. I'm not looking at the big names, and I'm not looking at the leaders. That said, I mentioned that Shane Lowry isn't really confident in Shane Lowry right now. I can get Wyndham Clark at minus 110. Wyndham Clark is always confident in Wyndham Clark.
Yes.
So I will take Wyndham Clark at minus 110. And then my favorite play on the board tomorrow, you're going to have to search around for this one. Eric Cole, who I will say has played more rounds at Bay Hill than anybody else in the field. I know Jason Day's played 41 rounds in competition and a whole bunch of pro-ams and practice rounds. Eric Cole used to essentially live at Bay Hill, played in the pro-am this week with his buddy Sam Saunders, who obviously lives there. Eric Cole's got a little attachment to this golf course. I saw his mom walking around with him, Laura Baugh, the other day. Plus 110 over Benny On, which I love that number.
What was the number? Sorry, what was the number you got on Wyndham Clark?
Minus 110. Are you not seeing the same thing?
No, I just wanted to see. So they just took it off the board at DraftKings, which is where I was building a parlay. So I just wanted to get somebody with similar odds because I wanted to see what all 3 of those were to pay. Not that I recommend, but listen, Max Gracerman, Eric Cole, Wyndham Clark, 7.3 to 1 for all of them to come through. I just wanted to see what the odds were. That's all.
I parlay matchups every day. It's a sickness. It's the worst.
I'm trying to see what else we've got here. We've got,
I believe Burton in the chat is asking for some Puerto Rico thoughts.
Oh, you want to hear about Puerto Rico? Last I saw, Davis Riley had taken the lead.
He is one back of Nearguard. Don't call me Norgard.
That's right. Rasmus Nearguard Peterson. Another Rasmus had shot a 65 on Friday and took a 1-shot lead over Davis Riley. Austin Cook won behind that. I'm looking for some of the names that were, Carl Phillips.
There we go.
65, 67. He's 12 to 1, Jason.
So in my BetMGM preview piece this week, first of all, I'll say that the last name I threw out there, I said there aren't many names with a big number next to their name that you're going to like. There's a reason why you have 500 to 1 next to your name playing the Puerto Rico Open. But if I'm going to take a shot on someone, it's Austin Cook. Austin Cook, just 2 shots back right now. Good luck to those who have him at 500 to 1 pre-tournament. Carl Phillips was my favorite play on the board. Talked about him Tuesday on the early wedge. I have a lot of Carl Phillips this week. The kid is really, really good out there wearing Sunday red. Only 2 guys wear Sunday red on tour. Tiger not playing the Puerto Rico Open this week. Oh, by the way, not playing the Players Championship next week either. Hopefully playing in Augusta a month from now. All of that said, Carl Phillips, he's got the Tiger on his shirt. He's playing well. He's my guy this week. I'm riding my horse or my Tiger.
I can't top that. I think we're done here. Okay. We will be back. We will be back on Sunday. The pregame show, the lead into the big groups. We'll have more information about obviously what happened on Saturday. Jason's forecast and weather apps will be even more mature by then. We'll make him stream from outside his place and give us a live look at it. Will you do that for us, Jason?
Yeah, we can actually do that.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll have the weather station coming from Jason's house, and we'll get you everything you need for Sunday and the rest of the way. Again, the one and done is live. The link is in the description. You probably need the link. It's probably not sitting in the lobby for those of you who just went to Splash Sports to look for it, because I imagine they don't want randoms getting into it. They want people who actually listen to the early wedge and watch the early wedge to get into it. So it's probably not in the lobby. So the link's in the description. Make sure you get into that. We are going to start it off for the players next week. Big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. That's Jason Sobel. I'm Rick Gehman. This has been the Early Wedge. We'll catch you next time.